Yeah. We can start, right?
Turn on her camera so we know it's her before
Councilor Bravo, can you please turn your camera on, please? Thank you, Councilor Bravo. Okay, great. Councilor Bradford is here. Okay, we're ready to go. Can you start the live stream, please? Say when.
Good to go.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Councilor Chris Moyes. I'm the chair of the Toronto East and East York Community Council. We have quorum. I am now calling meeting 8 to order. Welcome to everyone. Today's meeting is being held by video conference and in person at City Hall in Committee Room 1. This meeting is also being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. So although we may be meeting in different locations today, the Toronto and East York Community Council would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional stories of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. As an African Canadian, as a Caribbean Canadian, I am committed to continually acting in solidarity with our African, Caribbean, and Black communities, seeking freedom and reproductive justice in light of the history and ongoing legacy of slavery that continues to impact our communities across Canada. As part of this commitment, I would also like to acknowledge that not all people came to these lands as migrants and settlers. Specifically, I wish to acknowledge those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. In support of the City of Toronto's ongoing efforts to confront anti-Black racism, I pay tribute to those ancestors of African, Caribbean, and Black origin and descent. If you are registered to speak at today's meeting, please listen for me to call your name. I will call speakers in the order they appear on the list. The list of speakers can be viewed online by visiting the Toronto and East York Community Council page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. Members, the City Clerks has provided all agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on CMP, the Clerks Meeting Portal. Clerks' IT staff are available to members if you need help with your devices. I also want to remind you to please submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at toicc@toronto.ca to help with motions. Are there any declarations of interest on the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? If you do have an interest, please raise your hand or unmute your mic and indicate the item number and the nature of the interest. Seeing none, we'll proceed. May I have a motion to confirm the minutes from our meetings on September 19th, 2023? Councilor Bradford, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Before we begin the agenda run through, may I have a motion to add new business items, TE 8.40 to TE 8.50? Councilor Sachs, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Okay. Items TE 8.1 to TE 8.19 are timed items, so we will begin the rundown at item TE 8.20. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I have some new items I'm not sure you have.
1 second, staff will come to you.
Councillor Fletcher, I'm just checking.
We can add them later.
And so I'm just gonna, so we'll get right back to you as soon as possible.
That's good. I've got the answer.
Okay, thank you. So TE 8.20, changes to Business Improvement Area Board of Management. Mover, Councillor Sachs. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. TE 8.21, there's speakers to that item. TE 8.22, there's speakers to that item. TE 8.23,
We should probably read out the title and then.
Okay.
and then vote.
sure. TE 8.21, encroachment appeal, 40 London Street, we have speakers to that item. TE 8.22, encroachment appeal, basement walkout appeal, 459 on Oslington Avenue, we have speakers to that item. 8.2, TE 8.23, 2442 to 2454 Bloor Street West, and 1 through 9 Riverview Gardens, Phase 3, construction staging area, time extension. Councilor,
I'll move approval.
okay, Councilor Kurt, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. T 8.24, 8 Elm Street, construction staging area, Councilor Sachs, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Staff recs?
Pardon?
She's moving staff recs.
Sorry.
Are you moving staff recs for 24?
My apologies, I'm gonna do faster.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. T 8.25, accessible parking space, October 2023, delegated. Councilor Perks?
I'll move approval.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. T 8.26, removal of on-street accessible loading zone, Margarita Street, Ward 9, Councilor Bradford? It's Ward 9, right? Oh, sorry, Councilor Bravo, my apologies.
I'll move the report.
Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? Carried, thank you. T 8.27, removal of on-street accessible loading zone, Ruskin Avenue, Councilor Bravo?
I'll move it.
Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. TE 8.28, removal of on-street accessible loading zone, Wallace Avenue, Councilor Bravo?
I'll move the recommendation.
Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. TE 8.29, parking amendments, Hamilton Street, Councilor Fletcher?
Have a motion to defer indefinitely.
Okay. All those in favor of deferral? Opposed? Carried.
So, Mr. Chair, I was trying to, the 21 we didn't deal with yet because I've been asked for that.
Sorry, 21 was, give me a moment. There's a speaker on that item, so I held it. 8.30, traffic calming speed bump, Stanhope Avenue, Councilor Fletcher.
Have a motion.
Okay,
Refuse.
You know, we don't have anything for her on 23. Do you want to hold it down?
do you want to hold it down because staff doesn't have the motion?
Oh, don't you have that motion? I'm sorry.
So I'll hold that
It was
down.
submitted. Thank you. Yes, please. Thanks a lot.
Okay. T 8.31, temporary adjustments to parking regulations and the extension of permanent parking hours, 2023 Distillery Winter Village. Councilor Malik, Deputy Mayor Malik.
Thank you. I'd like to move the staff recommendation.
Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. T 8.32, temporary adjustments to traffic and parking regulations for 2023 Distillery Winter Village. Councilor Malik.
I'd like to move the staff recommendations on this too.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. T 8.33, introduction of overnight on-street permanent parking area, 5C Oslington Avenue. Councilor Matlow?
I move the recommendation.
Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. T 8.34, appointment of public member to the Moss Park Arena. That's me. I'm going to hold that down for a moment. T 8.35, appointment to the Community Center 55 Board of Management. Councilor,
Yep, I'd like to adopt the staff recommendations, please. Move the staff recs.
okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. T 8.36, always stop construction at Sheridan Avenue and Atkin Avenue. Counselor, was Ward 9, Counselor Bravo.
Sorry, Chair, I'm pretty sick. I just missed that.
That's okay. T 8.36, always stop control at Sheridan Avenue and Atkins Avenue.
I'd like to move that.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. T 8.37, Gary Avenue Mobility and Public Realm Progress Report. Counselor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendation, please.
Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. T 8.38, extending the Market Street closure between Front Street East and the Esplanade. That's me. One sec. I'll move the recommendation in the letter. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. TE 8.39, parking amendments, Power Street. I will move the recommendations in the letter. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. TE 8.40, one additional speed hump on Willard Avenue between Dundas Street West and Gilson Avenue.
I'm
Councilor.
going to proudly move this important matter of public policy.
Wonderful. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 8.41, reallocating dormant Section 37 funds within Ward 11. Councillor Stats?
Yes, I'd like to defer this till next month, please.
Okay, deferral to next month. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. TE 8.42, naming recommendation for 60 Howard Street Park. That's me, 842. One moment. I'm going to move the recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. TE 84.43, parking amendments, Dundas Street East. I'm going to move staff's recommendations. All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. TE 8.44, traffic calming, Aldwych Avenue between Pape Avenue and Woodcrest Avenue. Councillor Fletcher.
I'll move the recommendations in my letter, Chair.
Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 8.45, parking amendments, Robbins Avenue. Councillor Bradford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to adopt the recommendations in my letter.
Okay, all those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 8.46, traffic calming, Amherst Avenue between Danforth Avenue and Oakcrest Avenue. Councillor Bradford.
I'd like to adopt the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Those opposed? Carried. TE 8.47, traffic calming, Barker Avenue between Woodbine Avenue and Glen Hill Avenue. Councillor Bradford.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 8.48, traffic calming, Doncaster Avenue between Westlake Avenue and Chisholm Avenue. Councillor Bradford.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter, please.
All those in favor? All opposed? Carried. T 8.49, traffic calming, Glenholm Boulevard between Coxwell Avenue and Glebmont Avenue. Councillor Bradford.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter, please.
All those in favor? All opposed? Carried. Traffic calming, TE 8.50, traffic calming, Merrill Avenue East between East Lynn Avenue and Marberly Avenue. Councillor Bradford.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter, please.
All those in favor? All opposed? Carried. You guys gotta raise your hands. I gotta see them. TE 8.51, 182 to 184 Spadina Avenue, construction staging area. That's Ward 10. Councillor.
Can I hold the item?
Hold, okay. All righty, so that's the rundown, folks.
Mr. Chair, can I just have a minute, please, on back to number 30, which actually is moving staff recommendations, which I rarely do on speed humps.
Number 40?
Number 30.
Sorry, okay. One moment. Okay. All those in favor? All opposed? Carried. Thank
I
you.
also just want to note for the committee that I'm attempting to, but not sure I'll be able to submit 2 letters that should be of interest to everyone. The first has to do with the preliminary reports or the summary sheets that City Council agreed to have done instead of preliminary reports. And I'd like to see them on the agendas of this community council, and I guess all community councils. So the clerk is suggesting those need to go to executive rather than here, so they're on the public record. And the second is for flankage patios on a motion that I moved 2 years ago to still go back to bring it here so we can impose conditions, because it was delegated during the pandemic and we've never brought it back under our authority. But apparently it has to go to executive, but I was attempting to bring them here, but I wanted to advise you in the committee of those 2, what I consider important pieces of business for this council.
Okay, thank
community
you.
council.
Thank you, Councilor Fletcher. Appreciate it.
Well,
Okay.
thank you for letting me say that. Appreciate your time. It's always been like
Okay, so we're going back to the top of the list. TE 8.1.
There's 2 new business items that have to be added.
Oh, that's right.
So Councilor Bradford has one and so does Councilor Sacks.
Okay. So we also have, we have 2 new business items to be added, one by Councilor Bradford and one by Councilor Sacks. You gonna put them together?
How would you do them separately?
Separately, okay. So the first one is, it'll be coming up, the parking amendments, Salmon Avenue between Coxwell Avenue and Woodington Avenue.
That's the first one.
Okay. All those in favor of adding to the agenda? Opposed? Carried. Okay, and there's a second item?
Councilor Sacks.
That was yours, right?
Councilor Bradford's, yes, and next is Councilor Sacks.
Yeah, that was yours that was added. So that's number 52, right?
And there's Councilor Sacks.
Okay, and the next item is permanent parking exclusion, various properties in Ward 11. So all in favor of adding this one item to the agenda? All opposed? That's carried. Okay. 0.53. Okay. And that's the rundown. So the next item is TE 8.1, 64 Prince Arthur Avenue, zoning bylaw amendment application, decision report approval. That will be held down as per Councilor Sacks.
Do we want to hear from the speaker first?
Mr. Chair, I've sent my motion in to the clerk, but they might need a few minutes to prepare it. And I thought you said there was a speaker and it was time for 10 o'clock.
Okay, we're actually going to hear from the, so we do have a speaker for this item. And we're going to hear from the speaker. So the speaker is Adam Layton, Evans Planning. Are you here? Okay. You have 5 minutes to present to the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe there might be an error in my registration. I'm actually here to speak to item 8.6.
Which one?
8.6.
8.6?
Yes, we are the agents on behalf of the applicant for that matter.
Not yet, so we have to go back.
Okay, we're gonna go back to items. We're gonna go back to item TE 8.52. Parking amendment, Salmon Avenue between Coxwell Avenue and Woodington Avenue. Councilor Bradford.
Thanks very much. I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? Carried. The next item is TE 8.53. I don't have the wording for that.
Just wait to adopt the staff. So Councillor Sachs just has to adopt the staff.
Okay, Councilor Sachs?
Yes. I moved the recommendations in my letter, this is asking staff to review whether it needs to or permit planting various condo buildings in my ward. We've been doing one at a time as the zoning approvals come up, and I'm trying to catch up some of the ones that are in site plan.
Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? That's carried. Okay, we still have 3 minutes. The rest of the items are timed items. This is why we're kind of trying to get through this. So items T 8.34, appointment of public members to the Moss Park Arena Board. There's a motion on the screen to appoint 3 members here. Okay. All those in favor of the appointment?
No, I usually should put the motions first and then vote afterwards.
What was it? All those opposed? Carried. There's also a second motion to keep the there's also a second motion to keep the confidential attachment confidential. It's coming on the screen shortly. Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? As amended? Carried. Thank you. All right, so we're going back to items. You said, we did. So item TE 8.1, 64 Prince Arthur Avenue, zoning bylaw amendment application decision report. We're holding that down because there's an amendment being prepared for Councilor Sachs on this item. TE 8.2, 214 to 224 Merton Street, official plan and zoning bylaw amendments application decision report. There are speakers on this item. Tom Giancos, Senior Vice President, KingSett Capital, are you here? Okay, you have 5 minutes to present to the committee. Go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I want to first start off by thanking city staff. They've been absolutely incredible on this file. And I want to call out specifically Shane Taylor, who I think is a new member of planning staff, and he was a pleasure to deal with. And I also want to take the opportunity to congratulate the recent promotions of David, Oren, and Sipo. Some of your superstars in planning, and I think most of the industry really enjoys working with them. And I also want to thank Andrea Bacon Parks for working with us on this file. So very briefly, we are in support of staff's recommendations. There is a motion that Councillor Matlow, I believe, is going to be putting up that speaks to our parkland dedication, satisfying our full parkland contribution. And what we're doing is we're providing a 20 or 21% parkland dedication that is in close proximity to the site. And I think everyone is on side. If there's any questions of me, I'm happy to answer those. Otherwise, I will stop talking.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Giancos. Any questions of the deputant?
Yes.
Councillor Fletcher?
How many affordable units are there here?
Affordable units in this project, Councillor.
And did staff ask you for affordable units?
We
asked
did not
for
have that
units?
conversation with staff.
You did not have a conversation about affordable housing on this site with city planning staff, correct? Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your deputation today. Yeah, thank you. Next speaker on this item is Adam Brown. Brown, Dryer, barrister, and solicitor. Mr. Adams.
Mr. Chairman, I think I could be quick. I echo the sentiments of Mr. Jankos, and thank you.
Excellent. Any speakers? Nope, okay, wonderful. Councillor Sachs? Sorry, Councillor Matlow. I'm all over the place today. Councillor Matlow.
I move the staff
Oh, I'm
recommendations.
having questions of staff, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you. Mr. Jankos has said that he was not asked about affordable housing, and I'm just looking at staff to see at what point and what your requirement is now. Do you have any requirement to bring this up? Is it at the community consultation? At what point? Apparently that wasn't brought up. So I'd like to understand that a little better, please. Perhaps it's Ms. Bowman.
Thank you. Through the chair.
Who is that?
Oh,
Where?
sorry. This is Oren Tamir,
I see.
Director,
Thank
Toronto
you.
East York North. In this case, it may not have been brought up. Often it is brought up when we discuss an in-kind CBC contribution, and in this case, we were not seeking one.
So the issue of affordable housing was not raised with this developer by city planning staff. You're confirming that what Mr. Jankos said?
I can confirm that I was not intimately involved in that discussion, whether it was raised or not, but it was not something that was secured or sought for by city planning.
Okay. Thank you. Nor was it raised according to him, but perhaps, council, you can let me know if it was raised at the community consultation meeting in any way, shape, or form.
Thank you. Through the chair, the planner is informing that it was raised at the community meeting
By city planning.
by the community.
Oh, by the community. The city planning did not have that as something that was to be pursued here. But the community raised it.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just a matter of procedure for next time. I actually should have had Councillor Matlow move the item, then speak to it. So anyways, but
Yes, he has an amendment on item 2, so he has to move his amendment.
yeah,
Okay, that's the speakers, we're not giving to speakers.
sorry. Yeah. Okay, any speakers to the item? Councillor Matlow?
I move the item along with a recommendation, or sorry, an amendment.
Okay. Okay, there's the amendment. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? Carried. Item as amended? All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you. I'm still on the money here today. T 8.3, 467 and 469 Spadina Avenue, City-initiated zoning bylaw amendments, decision report. Councillor Matlow? There's no speakers, is that?
I absolutely move this.
Okay. Any speakers? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE. Okay. Okay. TE 8.4, 98 to 100 Bond Street and 5474 Dundas Street East, zoning bylaw amendment application decision report. There are speakers to this item. Grigoris Karakolos, President of the Board, St. George's Creek Orthodox Community. Are you here?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, you have 5 minutes to depute to the council. Go ahead.
Okay. Just a minute, please.
Yeah, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and members of the Toronto and East York Community Council. St. George's Greek Orthodox Church of Toronto, St. George's, the owner of property municipally known as 115 Bond Street in the City of Toronto, does not generally oppose the proposed development for residential uses at 98 Bond Street, except for the issues noted below. I'm reading the letter that I sent, to the council. The issues refer to aspects of the proposed urban design that do not conform to the city's guidelines or will lead to traffic problems on Bond Street. St. George's objects to these issues and asks that the application be deferred to provide time for a good urban design instead of a tall building with street wall effects to the pedestrian realm, particularly on Bond Street. And I then provide, some background about the heritage, building that, we are located at. Was built in 1897. And it's been characterized as having being a significant heritage resource for the city. It includes both external and internal elements, in addition to its contextual importance. And for this reason, annually, the church property participates in the Doors Open Toronto event, with thousands of people visiting the site because of its significance. So we next list the issues with this rezoning application. Number one, the developer has filed several resubmissions since the original proposal in July 2021, a few of them in the last 6 months. The original proposal was for a 30-story building with 287 units, whereas the current proposal is for a 23-story building with 336 units. Although we expressed several concerns at the public consultation, the developer never contacted us since then. We only had initial discussions with the developer in January and March 2021 based on preliminary 2D sketches of the development. This is in contrast to page 9 of the public consultation strategy report, which stated that our community was consulted on the proposal. Furthermore, despite the significant changes from the original submission, no other public consultation meeting was held, except the one that I mentioned in December of 2021. In fact, the latest planning rationale provided by Bushfields, dated March 9, 2023, has significant deviations from the current plan submission that is being considered at this community council today. Why is that? Is this acceptable? Issue number 2. The building is located on Bond Street, a unique street for the City of Toronto, the Cathedral Row, as it is sometimes cited, with a significant number of heritage buildings both north and south of Dundas, despite its short distance. The design of the building does not take any cues from the surrounding heritage buildings. More specifically, page 38 of the submitted Heritage Impact Statement report lists the specific City of Toronto downtown tall building design guidelines that apply to the design of buildings adjacent to heritage properties and heritage conservation districts. However, neither this report nor the planning rationale report describe how the proposed design adheres to these guidelines. In our initial discussions and public consultations, we had strongly encouraged the developer to take into account the heritage nature of Bond Street when designing the building. For example, TMU has taken such cues in the design of its proposed new building at 137 Bond Street, southeast corner of Bond and Gould Street. In contrast, we are disappointed to see that the developer at the other end of the street, 98 to 100 Bond Street, has not taken any cues from the surrounding heritage buildings. Issue number 3. The 15-story middle tower only has a 10-meter setback from the adjacent property on the north. The city's guidelines call for a 12.5 setback. On the west side, the width of Victoria Street Lane is only 5.93 meters, less than 6 meters. Although the plans show an additional 14.5 setback for the 15-story tower, this only applies to the middle tower above the podium. Any residential units that the developer may put in the podium or in the main tower will be about 6 meters from the property on the other side of Victoria Street Lane that TMU is planning to develop. And issue number 4. Although the original application had a 3-meter setback of the main tower and a 6-meter setback of the middle tower above the podium on Bond Street, these setbacks have been eliminated in the current submission. Instead, only the 15-story middle tower has a 1.5-meter step back above the 8th floor, whereas the main tower, 23 stories, has 0-meter step back. This would render the pedestrian realm with a street wall effect. This is not acceptable on any street, and particularly on this historic street for the City of Toronto, as mentioned above. Moreover, the north side of the tower seems unfinished, further accentuating the street wall effect. This is not good urban design, is it? Issue number 5. The base building is set back 3 meters from Victoria Street Lane and 2.3 meters from Dundas Street East for the first 3 stories. In addition, on the southwest side, levels 4
Closing
through
remarks,
6 have been
please.
stepped back.
Closing remarks. Your time is up.
Let me put it in the last point. Despite this massive density, the building has no parking whatsoever. Is it reasonable to accept that none of the dwellers in the 356 units would have a car? Is it reasonable to accept that none of those visitors to these units would have a car? So this is going to create a problem for us. The city may in general be allowing development of residential buildings with no parking. However, in this case, this may have severe negative ramifications on St. George's Parish and its heritage building.
Okay, thank you.
Since we do not believe this...
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Giving you some extra time. Thank you. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none? Okay, thank you, sir. The next speaker on this item is Nick D. Salisbury, Director of Planning and Development Facilities Management and Development, Toronto and TMU. Toronto. Are you here? Nick D. Salisbury? No? Okay. David Hyena, Busefields Inc. David? Okay, you have 5 minutes, David. You may start.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of Community Council. My name is David Hun. I'm a planner and partner at Busefields Incorporated, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant for this application. I want to take this opportunity to support staff's recommendation to approve this application and to thank them for their hard work and their collaborative efforts with the applicant to address the concerns raised by staff and by residents and local stakeholders. The proposal has evolved substantially since the original proposal was submitted back in July of 2021. We worked closely with planning and urban design staff in examining the surrounding buildings and recent approvals in the area to inform some of the changes to the proposal. That included a reduction in the overall height from 30 stories to 23 stories, an increase of the ground floor setbacks to provide a 6-meter sidewalk zone along Bond Street and Dundas Street, and creating a podium height along Bond Street that is similar with the heights of the in the TMU campus area, as well as providing appropriate setbacks and step backs for the tower that are in keeping with those approved in the area. Based on these changes, a concerted effort from both the applicant and the city results in a building that fits into the downtown context. I also wanted to take this opportunity to respond to the letters filed to date. In response to the church's letter, our architect reached out to them shortly after reviewing their letter and were able to get some clarification. It was noted that the relocation of the loading access from Bond Street to the laneway was in direct response to their previous comments, and similarly, widening the sidewalk zone along Bond Street to 6 meters was a directive from staff in order to improve the public realm along Bond. It is also indicated that comments relating to the design and the building character will be further refined during the SBA application process, and we're willing to meet with the church then. Finally, one of the church's main concerns is about parking, specifically the fact that we're providing no on-site parking. It is noted that providing no on-site parking is a council direction and is being supported by staff given the immediate access to the subway as well as ways to promote other forms of transportation such as walking and cycling. It is also noted that parking along Bond Street is already limited for their parishioners and that there are a number of parking options within walking distance provided by Green Pea, the Eaton Center, and TMU. In response to TMU's letter, I would like to note that the applicant did meet with TMU representatives a handful of times during the process in an effort to work with them, specifically to discuss the block context plan that was submitted as part of our application. Staff required the undertaking of the block plan exercise and proposal strongly considers the development potential of adjacent properties, including the TMU properties. Through this exercise, it was acknowledged that some properties are constrained regardless of what the proposed application is. In terms of tower setbacks, TMU even recognizes the 20 meters separation distance exists between other buildings in the area. And in fact, TMU will gain more development potential as a result of that. The block context was reviewed and accepted by staff. The applicant attempted meaningful engagement with TMU to understand their own development aspirations, but were never given any clear direction. Finally, we respectfully disagree with the proposal that the proposal will create mitigation obligations for TMU in a downtown setting where there are extensive permissions for residential uses in the surrounding area. In closing, I want to reiterate and thank staff for their continued efforts to collaborating with the applicant team to address all received comments, including those from the church and TMU. As a result, we do not think a deferral is necessary given the extensive staff review. We truly believe that the result is a reasonable building that addresses the surrounding context and the built form character, and we look forward to continue working with staff through the SPA process. We support staff's recommendation to approve the application. Thank you, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay. Thank you, David. Any questions of this applicant? Councillor Fletcher?
Yes, you know my question, and oh, you're on the screen there. Oh, David, hello. Did you offer any affordable housing here, or did the staff ask you for affordable housing on this site?
It's not to my knowledge that any discussions with respect to affordable housing was raised during the process.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Sachs has a question for you, David.
Yes, thank you. The letter from TMU asks for that we defer today so that there can be proper conversations between your company and TMU. Certainly, as an environmental lawyer, I've had a great deal of experience with air handling equipment having to be upgraded when something new is built next to it. So I take that quite seriously. Are you open to meeting with TMU and having a conversation so that you're not exporting costs onto that important institution?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your question. You know, we've made several attempts to and have met several times with TMU, and this is the first time that we have heard this comment be raised in this letter. And to receive the letter the day before is unfortunate. We continue to want to have an open dialogue with TMU and want to continue to work through that, whether it's through the SPA process. But our opinion is at this time that we don't think a deferral is necessary to continue those types of discussions.
Yes, but if we approve the building massing, then it's too late to change the building massing, isn't that true?
That would be true, but in terms of any other forms of mitigation, with respect to the building itself or whatnot, could be discussed through the site plan process.
Yeah, but it doesn't change the building massing. All right, anyway, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Our next speaker on this item is Roy Varasali from R. Varasali Architect, Inc. Are you here? Is he here? No? Okay. Mr. Varasali is not here. I am going to, this is my item, and I'm going to any other questions of staff on this item? Anyone? No, okay. This is my item, so I'm going to defer it to the next meeting in November. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you. The next item is TE 8.5, 475 Yonge Street, official plan and zoning bylaw amendment application.
Mr. Chair, what just happened with that item?
I deferred it. It's my item. 475 Yonge Street, official plans and zoning bylaw amendment application, decision report approval. We do have some speakers on this item. The first speaker here is Tom Giannokos, Senior Vice President, Kingset Capital. You have 5 minutes to present to the committee. Go ahead.
Hello again. I just want to start off by thanking planning staff. Catherine Bailey, Alex Teixeira, and Rand Chen at Urban Design have been great on this file. This is a site that we had rezoned a few years ago, and then we worked with city staff and the area residents. And we came back and I think we developed a project which is better. About 40% of the site is open, publicly accessible park space in the form of an actual public park and a POPs. And then we have 2 towers. So again, we went back to the drawing board, work with staff, and I think when this site is developed, not in the near future, but I think in the long term, you're gonna have something that's pretty special and unique in this neighborhood. And we are in receipt of a couple of emails, actually 1 email and I think a letter from Unifor, and I just chatted with Unifor. And I just want to say that Kingset Capital is in the hotel business. We own the Royal York Hotel. We own the Courtyard Marriott. We operate those hotels. Both those hotels are incredibly profitable and they're doing well post-pandemic. In terms of the Royal York Hotel, I think we've invested about $50 million in the Royal York Hotel. If you're ever in that neighborhood, please visit the Clock Tower Bar. And also, we are working on a net carbon zero plan for the Royal York Hotel. That will be the first net carbon zero hotel in North America. And those efforts, I think, will be wrapping up within the year. What I want to say to our friends at Unifor is, the zoning that we're getting approved is permissive in the event that there's a market for hotel use when we actually develop the site. We are not remiss to doing that, but at this time the zoning allows residential hotel uses, commercial uses, etc. And I don't see anything happening there for a long time, and I've communicated that to our friends. I know that they're going to speak to the issue of hotels. And what I also want to say is, there has been post-pandemic a bit of a robustness in the hotel market in the city of Toronto. You've seen openings at the W Hotel, Nobu Hotel, the Broadview Hotel, the expansion of the Drake Hotel, the X Hotel, etc. And again, we know all this because we are in that business. So I'm at the 2-minute, 11-second minute mark. I will stop talking unless there's any questions of me specifically.
Any questions of the deputant? Councillor Fletcher.
Yes, can you tell me about the affordable housing that you'll be putting on this site, please, Mr.?
We are not providing any affordable housing, but I would like to say that Kingset Capital actually has an affordable housing fund, and I didn't mention this at the last question, Councillor, so I apologize. Kingset Capital has raised $250 million to build purpose-built affordable housing. We're doing that in consultation with city staff as well as with the federal government. We have affordable housing units in the West End, in the East End, and we have our first affordable housing project kicking off in Etobicoke at Valhalla Village. Construction will be commencing within the next 6 months. So we do work in that sector. As a company, we think it's important to kind of address that need. But this project in particular will not include any affordable housing.
Thank you. I'll ask staff about that later.
Okay, thank you. Seeing another, Councillor Bravo, Councillor Sachs.
All right, taking a leaf from my colleague's book, what have you done on this building to do better than the absolute minimum environmental requirements?
In terms of 475 Yonge?
Yes.
The-
No, in terms of this application.
So we're at the zoning stage. We haven't really gone through site plan. During the site plan approval process, that's when we'll start working through the TGS standards. I'm a bit ignorant to how that works. We have a team in our office that deals with that. They're a lot smarter than me in that regard. But right now, we're setting building envelope, et cetera. We haven't gotten to that level of detail. But again, what I can also tell you is we own Scotia Plaza, and Scotia Plaza is also the first net carbon zero office building in North America. So we have an entire team in our office that's dedicated to that. And once we move through the zoning process and into the site plan and building permit process, that's when they start kind of figuring out all of that stuff. And again, I'm not smart enough to get involved in that.
Yeah. Is your company committed to doing better than the bare legal minimum?
Yes, I believe we always have, and that's why I cited the example of the Royal York Hotel as well as Scotia Plaza, which are both assets that we own that are net carbon zero and on their way to be net carbon zero.
Right, and are you open to keeping that so-called natural gas out of this building, given its environmental harm and harm to indoor air quality?
I can't speak to this at the zoning stage, Council. I have no idea.
All right, well, please inquire and let us know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further questions, thank you for your deputation. Next person is Adam Brown from Brown, Dreyer, Barristers and Solicitor.
I'll say the same as last time, nothing else to add, and we can staff and we support the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We do have another speaker on this item, Louis Nacarado. Are you here? You have 5 minutes to present to the depute to the committee.
Good morning to the members of the Toronto East Council, city staff and guests. My name is Louis Nacarado. I'm joined up here with Jessica Johnson. She's a server in the bistro of the hotel. I'm the chief shop steward for the Courtyard Toronto Downtown that's located at 475 Yonge Street. I've worked in the hotel for more than 40 years. I know that the decision for planning application being considered today recommends approval, and we don't have any comments to make on that recommendation or on any other particular planning aspect itself. In fact, I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about the importance of hotel jobs in the city. Back in January of 2022, this council considered a preliminary report for the redevelopment plan at this hotel. The committee asked if there was a way to continue hotel use at this property and not to include hotel use in the new development, even with the same number of rooms that will be lost. While the first application does not, or does, unfortunately, this application does not include hotel use. I want to thank you for acknowledging the threat of condo conversion that many hotel workers in the city are facing. Our union local president, John Turner, wrote a letter to this committee, and you should have received the letter by now. In that letter, John shares some of the comments about the phenomena of hotel to condo conversion and the overall state of Toronto hotel sector. The loss of hotel room capacity is a serious challenge for Toronto's hospitality and tourism sector, especially downtown. We've seen a number of hotels lost to conversion, and we're worried more hotels are at risk. There aren't policies and guidelines in place to properly address the problem of job loss when redevelopment occurs. The city employment land policies don't adequately protect workers in many sectors, including the hospitality workers. The city needs to develop an overall sector strategy for hospitality and tourism sector so we can tackle these issues and not have to deal with the situations that happen on one-off basis. From my experience at working in the hotel for over 40 years, I know that conventions and meetings bring a huge number of guests to two hotels in Toronto, especially in the downtown core. But we need enough hotel rooms to host these large-scale meetings. Small boutique hotels and luxury hotels are great, but we need larger, mid-scale hotels in order to have enough hotel capacity to attract these conventions. Not everyone recognizes that hotel jobs can be good family-supporting jobs, but only if they're unionized hotel jobs. More than 75% of the hotel jobs in Toronto downtown are unionized. That means we get paid decent wages, we have benefits like prescription drug coverage, eye and dental care. We also have better job security and full-time hours. We all know that Toronto is in the midst of a housing crisis, and we desperately need more housing across the city. It makes sense to locate housing near main transit routes, but workers also need a place to work. Respectfully, the city needs to do more to protect hospitality and tourism workplaces. We don't have McJobs at the Courtyard. The stereotypical service jobs with low wages, no benefits, and no job security. We have good, stable jobs, decent wages and benefits, the kind of jobs the city should be supporting. While this redevelopment is likely going forward, we would like to engage with the city to talk more about how to protect and promote Toronto's vital hospitality and tourism sector, because protecting and promoting the sector also means doing more to protect the hotels as workplaces. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nacarado, for your passionate deputation. Any questions of the deputant? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming in today. Any questions of staff? Councillor Perks?
Mr. Chair, I'm wondering if there's anyone from Economic Development available to answer questions on this item.
Okay, staff is trying to reach someone right now.
They're on their way? Okay, maybe I'll start and see if anyone from planning can help me. My memory is that a couple of years ago, when dealing with hotel conversions, Councillor Moyes' predecessor, Councillor Wong Tam, had asked for some advice from planning staff on this issue of losing hotels to condominium. And I'm just wondering where that work went and if anyone knows.
Thank you, Councillor. Through the chair, that's correct. There was a report a few years back on this matter, and the recommendation was that economic development be the lead on that review. And so I think we should wait to hear from our colleagues in economic development.
Could we stand this down until someone's available to answer those questions?
Okay.
Sorry to do this.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's quite all right. We'll hold it until someone's available. We'll move on to the next item. Item TE 8.6, 741 Broadview Avenue, zoning bylaw amendment application, decision report for approval. Are there any deputants who want to speak this item?
Sorry, read that address again.
Pardon me?
Could you read the address again, please, Chair?
741 Broadview Avenue.
741 Broadview, yes, that's mine, thank you.
We do have a deputant here. What's your name, sir, for the records?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Adam Layton. I'm a principal with Evans Planning. We are the planning consultant for the applicant on this matter.
5 minutes to present to the committee. Go ahead.
Much, Mr. Chair. I'll be brief. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'd also like to thank planning staff, Raymond Tung, for working with us on this file. What we have before you is a modest intensification of an existing office building on Broadview just south of Danforth. The proposal seeks to provide a 3-story addition atop the existing commercial building. There would be a slight reduction in GFA of the commercial portion, but it would be retained in situ, and we'd be providing 19 new residential units atop the existing building. We're happy with the recommendations of staff. We have provided a slide deck with some details and renderings of the proposal, which I'm happy to run through, but in the interest of timing and brevity, I'm happy to just conclude my comments and answer any questions that there may be of council or community council.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputant? Okay, seeing none, thank you for coming in today. Councillor Fletcher?
It's a 3-story addition. Approve it.
Pardon me?
Approve it.
Okay, all those in favor of approval? Opposed? Carried. Item TE 8.7, 147 Spadina Avenue, zoning bylaw amendment and site plan control application for appeal report. Deputy Mayor Malik?
I'd like to move the staff recommendations.
Okay, all those in favor of approval? Opposed? Carried. Items T 8.8, 295 Jarvis Street, official plan and zoning bylaw. Yeah, amendment application, I just saw that. This is my item. I do have a, one moment, 8.6. Are there any speakers to this item? Deputants? Seeing none? There's no speakers, deputants to this item. Okay. Sorry, one moment. Do we need to open up the last item?
Yes, because there was a construction management motion attached to
Actually,
that.
sorry, because we're discussing 8.8, we'll go back to your item.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff to this item, 8.8? Okay, seeing none. Speakers? I do have an amendment, and I will speak to it. It's on the screen, but I'm going to speak to this item. So as you are all aware, we find ourselves in the midst of an unprecedented housing crisis here in Toronto, and especially the downtown east. Affordable housing is an essential element in addressing the needs of our community, and we simply cannot afford to be complacent. We have this moral obligation to ensure that our neighborhoods, especially those who are most vulnerable, have access to affordable and safe housing, or at the very least, we do not remove existing access. The development application for 295 Jarvis Street is a critical issue. This application has the potential to significantly impact the housing landscape in our city. My concern, and one that I implore city staff to emphasize when opposing this application at the OLT, is the absence of any rental replacement protections. Let us not forget that this proposal, if accepted as is, would result in the removal of 95 deeply affordable units from our already struggling housing portfolio. Our community is grappling with the scourge of homelessness, and the vulnerable individuals living in our neighborhoods desperately need our protection. Removing these deeply affordable units would only exacerbate this crisis, potentially pushing more people into homelessness and putting those who are already struggling at even greater risk. We must remember that every one of these 95 units represents not just a piece of property, but a home to our fellow neighbors. It's where they cook their meals, spend time with their families, and lay their heads at night. It's their sanctuary, and we cannot allow it to be taken away without ensuring a proper compensation package or replacement. The absence of rental replacement protections in this application is not only a disservice to our community, but a grave injustice in these times of need. It is our duty to stand up for our most vulnerable residents and advocate for their rights to stable and affordable housing. As we move forward, let us carry the weight of this responsibility and act in the best interest of our community. Let us work together to safeguard our deeply affordable units and protect the vulnerable members of our downtown east community. So I will move the recommendations there.
We had to vote on your motion first and then the item is amended.
Okay. Move my motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried as amended. All those in favor?
Your motion, did it go up?
It did go up initially. Do you want to put it back up?
Thank you. Thanks, Chris.
No problems. Okay. Do we vote as amended, right? Let's just do it. Should we do it again? Let's do it again. Let's move the motion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried as amended. All those in favor? All opposed? Carried. Thank you very much.
We can go back to 8.6.
Yes, we'll go back to 8.6. Motion to open item 8.6. Council, we don't need to.
Councilor Fletcher has a motion on that item.
Council Fletcher has the.
Amendment.
They just had a construction management plan that I neglected to append to that.
Okay, so motion to open.
No, to open,
Reopen. Council Fletcher to reopen.
No.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay.
to add the construction management plan. This is right in the
Add.
top,
Okay.
standard.
Okay. All those in favor adding this amendment? All those opposed? Carried as amended. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, now back to 8.9. 33 to 37 Maitland Street, official plan and zoning bylaw amendments application and rental housing demolition and conversion application. That's me. Yes. Any deputants on this item? Seeing none. Any speakers to this item? Okay, seeing none. I move to move staff's recommendations. All those in favor? Okay, you gotta raise your hand, folks. All those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Items 8.10, 137 Bond Street alterations to a heritage property and authority to enter into a heritage easement agreement. Any deputants on this from the floor? Seeing none. Any questions of staff? Seeing none. I move staff's recommendation. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you. Items TE 8.11, 510 to 528 Yonge Street and 7 Brittle Lane Street, alterations to a heritage property and authority to enter into heritage easement agreement. Any deputants from the floor? Seeing none. Any questions of staff? Seeing none. I move staff's recommendations. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item 12, TE 8.12, 415 Broadview Avenue, alterations to and demolition of heritage attributes to a designated property. Councilor Fletcher.
I believe my motion is in there to defer till November. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of deferral to next meeting? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 813656 Gerard Street East residential demolition application. We have deputants in this item. Deborah Guri-Walski, President JSM Corporation. Are you here?
I am here, yes, thank you.
You have 5 minutes to present to the committee. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So good morning, councillors. First, I just want to thank you all for hearing us today, as well as thanking the city staff and Councillor Fletcher's office, Andrew Wild, for helping us navigate through our application. It's taken some time for us to understand how to get here. This is an application for demolition without the accompanying plans for rebuilding. So we understand that that is a little bit less common. But unfortunately, we're currently in a bit of a dangerous, untenable situation with the property right now. And we're envisioning that a demolition will much improve the situation. So first off, I just want to introduce ourselves. I am Deborah Gorgie. I'm the current president of JSM Corporation. We are a small family business that's been operating since the 1960s. So we have properties in other provinces, across the provinces as well, across Ontario, I should say, but more locally, we have 4 properties on Gerrard between Broadview and Woodbine. These are 4 urban street front properties that I'm proud to say are operated by local businesses as well on the commercial ground floors. So not a stranger to the neighborhood. So the reason we're here today really is to discuss the demolition of what was a single family home at 656 Gerrard. I say was because unfortunately it's not in a habitable state at the moment. We have significant issues with the structure due to a combination of age and humidity and perhaps lack of maintenance from prior years, even before we owned the property. I had shared some photos with Councillor Fletcher's office earlier this week as to the condition that the property was left in by the previous tenants. It was unfortunately extreme filth and clutter, filled with junk boxes, bags in every corner. I haven't shared with them, but the previous tenant also was growing marijuana in the house. So of course we know that also contributes to the humidity, which damages the wood structures in a building. So what we are left with now is a building that's beyond rehabilitation. I did seek to review this with contractors and an engineer, and I included our engineer's report, which determines it's really not economically viable to fix the structure and rehabilitate the home. And so it really would have to be torn down and rebuilt. So the structure does have to remain currently vacant and it will have to come down. I guess the only question is the timing. So of course we don't also want to rebuild it in its current form. This house is part of a larger parcel. It is lot 24 on the survey that you have as part of the report. It's adjacent to lot 25 and a private laneway. Together, it's a parcel of 60 feet frontage along Gerrard and 100 feet depth. So we purchased the property in 2017, and it was always our intention to build a multi-story residential building there with the ground floor commercial, as is typical in the neighborhood. I should mention there are some zoning reports noted by city staff as part of this report, but that was not done by us. That was a previous owner. We had a review done by Bousfields at the time, but I think that was in 2017. We would have to re-engage with them now to see exactly what would be optimal in its place. It's really the meantime, though, that we're having issues. We have a women-owned business of a massage therapy just next door. They have had several instances where they feel unsafe on the property. Every time they walk behind that home, they have to worry about what surprise will be lurking. They've had a man masturbating. We've had an unhoused person set up camp. This is in addition to the dumping of tires and other flammable objects. So not to mention the time that it takes our team, which we're a small team, to sort of deal with meeting the police, meeting the tenants. I actually feel very worried that one day I'm going to get a call in the middle of the night, somebody broke in, started a fire, and this house is very near other properties on either side. So this is what I worry about. I know our tenants are worried about it, and they offer to speak here or send letters of support for the demolition. I see I'm running out of time, but I could speak to some of the conditions that would be okay with me as well for the demolition,
Okay,
if there is time to get into.
Thank you. Any questions of the deputant? Okay, seeing none. Thank you for your deputing today. We do have a second speaker on this item, Adam Rogers. Are you, okay, Mr. Rogers, you have 5 minutes to depute for this committee.
Hi, sorry, I did it. Just needed to be unmuted.
It's okay, you may proceed, we can hear you.
Okay, I'll keep this nice and short. So first, I don't live in this area, so I don't want to speak to the direct concerns of the people around, and perhaps this particular site is not the best site for this, so I'll be very brief. I just wanted to highlight that there's been a growing trend I've noticed of demolitions before permits being issued on sites that, like this, are former single-family homes, and I wanted to highlight that we are in a refugee housing crisis at that point. And perhaps this site, based on what the previous speaker, is not ideal for this, so I will let the counselor speak to that rather than blowing that, but I do want to bring this up, is that something that I think councils should and committees should think to is, can we rehabilitate some of these homes that are being demolished before permits issued in a way for temporary refugee housing? I think this would be a mutual benefit for both the developer and the city. Developer can gain fees from the city, and the city can provide temporary homes while refugees are waiting for permanent housing. Again, I do appreciate this site might not be the best case. I will leave it to Councillor Fletcher to decide on that front, but it is something that I do wish to note. And one thing I did note is that this particular site has been sitting vacant since 2015. It is a bit strange that suddenly the permit is being required to demolish. I get what the last speaker spoke to, so I don't want to. I will leave it to what has been done on the site to decide if this is the right site for such situation. But it is something I want to bring up to the councillor and to all councillors on this committee, to something to think of going forward. Can we rehabilitate these homes? Because I do appreciate that developers don't necessarily want tenants and have to go through the eviction process before a permit. But in cases where, like this, where we don't know when a permit is coming, it could be coming in 2 years, it could be coming in 5 years. What can we do with these homes in the meantime rather than just tear them down? And maybe this is not the right set. Again, I'll leave it to the councillor. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, thank you. Any other deputants want to come forward? Seeing none. Councillor Fletcher?
Is somebody here from buildings?
Is there somebody from buildings?
Who is here from buildings at this meeting?
Yeah, Frank Sturpey is here virtually.
You're not here in the building, in the room?
No, he's online.
Correct.
It's online.
Correct.
And that's unfortunate. I'd prefer if I was able to chat with you here rather than on screen. But I'm wondering, is this building in such a state? If it is in such a state as the deputant outlined, why you're not recommending to demolish it? Is it structurally unsound? Does it need to be demolished from the point of view of the buildings department?
I could get an inspector to the site to confirm the condition of the building.
Have you not done that before this report is here?
No, we do not do that. That's not part of our service level for such requests.
And the applicant didn't ask to have buildings go to confirm the condition that she's presented here today?
No, usually if we receive an engineer's report, we would go out to the site to confirm some specifics, but that would be for issuing an unsafe order.
So there is no engineer's report attached to this request?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Not to your knowledge, okay. And from, pardon me? There is one attached. Are you not aware? Maybe we should stand this down. But I'm going to ask planning about the rest of the applications here. This is an ongoing one.
Councillor Fletcher, you want to maybe ask your questions of planning while
you look that report up, so you can comment on the engineering report then. The planning, what are the applications that are associated with 656 Gerard, please? Anything approved? What's the requirement?
Through the chair, Councillor, I will need to research. I'm not aware of a current planning application associated with 656 Gerard, but let me dig.
You heard the deputant say it was part of a larger package. That's what I heard.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So we're going to have to look at that. Okay. Have you had a chance to look at that engineering report now? Asking buildings.
Yeah, I'm reviewing it right now. There is some recommendations in regards to reinforcements. Typically, we would send an inspector to the site when the recommendation is to demolish because of an unsafe matter, and that the only solution to the unsafe matter is to demolish.
But you don't know that right now.
Correct.
So we'll have to defer this so that buildings can actually go out
Do you want to
and
defer
give
this?
us a report, and planning can tell us if it's part of a larger piece. But deputant should know that unless it's actually falling down and it's structurally unsound and dangerous, that I will be refusing demolition report, as I do with any demolitions before there's a replacement. And I really take the advice of the deputant about the use of these types of situations for temporary housing, but I don't know what shape it's in.
So Councilor Fletcher, are you requesting
Yes.
deferral?
Yes.
Okay, to when, next meeting?
Sure, next meeting, but I'm expecting buildings will have gone out and looked at the engineering report, come back with that.
So a motion to defer to the November meeting?
Yeah.
All those in favor? All those opposed? That's
Thank
carried.
you, and I'd appreciate it if buildings could be here in person at the November meeting. Staff, I'm requesting that of you and of the clerk. Thank you.
Okay. Before we proceed, Councilor Matlow has a new item he'd like to add to the agenda as TE 8.3, turning prohibitions at 281 to 289 Avenue Road. All those in favor of adding, sorry, TE 8.4. Sorry, yeah, 5.4. TE 5.4. All those in favor of adding this item to the agenda? All those opposed? Carried. It's added. We are now going back to item 8.5. Councillor Perks had requested staff engineering or someone on the line. ECTEP, sorry. They are here now, so we're back to 8.5. You may ask your questions of staff, Councillor.
Thank you. Hi, who am I talking to? Who's here from the Economic Development Department?
I believe they were online. 1 second.
Is there someone there from the Economic Development Department?
Yes, Alok Sharma is here from Tourism Services.
Thank you very much. We have in front of us an application for a condominium on a site that currently has a hotel. My memory is that last term, we had this kind of an issue come up once or twice, and there was some direction from council to do some work around retaining hotel capacity for conventions and a whole lot of other tourism and a whole lot of other reasons. Am I remembering that correctly?
I believe so. I would have to look into that, but I believe that there is certainly has been discussion about maintaining hotels for convention space and for visitors.
Okay. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but I think there's some urgency with this, and we're having another one of these conversions. Today we heard from members of Unifor Local 112 who represent some of the workers at the affected hotel. I realize we can't solve this problem on the floor of this committee right now. Would you and your department be willing to convene a meeting with representatives of workers in some of Toronto's hotels, myself as the chair of planning and Councillor Bravo as the chair of economic development, so we can review what strategies are available to us?
Yes, I think that's a good option. I will have to confirm that with the General Manager of Economic Development and Culture.
Okay, so I'll leave that with you, and I hope that myself and Councillor Bravo hear from you within a week. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. And any speakers to the item? Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Just following up on Councillor Perks. We have the recommendation from Unifor that the city should develop a hospitality and tourism sector strategy. Is economic development have any work underway to develop a hospitality and tourism sector strategy?
It should.
Is economic development still there?
Are you still here?
Nope, they're gone.
I frightened them off.
Well, can we get them back?
Okay.
I'll make sure we get that.
Okay.
We're just not going to
All
be able
right,
to do that
okay.
today.
All right, well, I'll speak to it then.
You speak to it?
I'll speak to it, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I think we had excellent points in the representation from Unifor that we lack an overall economic development strategy for the hospitality and tourism sector. And we also lack a coherent way of managing the short-term rental markets in coordination with our vision for the hospitality industry. Now, we had a conversation at council last week about the vacant home tax and having it apply to that gray area of the short-term rentals that are longer than 28 days. But we're dealing with pieces, bits and pieces, instead of having a coherent strategy. So I mean, I think the Unifor submission really does make an excellent point. We should have a vision of what we're trying to achieve and a coherent way of pulling these different initiatives together that I see lacking right now. So I'm glad that Councillor Perks and Councillor Bravo are going to meet with economic development and the tourism and the unions. We've got a number of players here. We've also getting, I mean, in my office, we're getting a large number of emails from people who want to be able to rent out their premises without complying with our current rules, because this is a way for them to make a living. There's a lot of questions about this between 1 month and 6 month area. We've got a lot of gray areas that we haven't come to grips with in a coordinated way, and I think that Unifor makes a really good point. We should have one. So thank you.
Good. Thank you, Councillor Sachs.
I'll make some remarks too.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you. I'll make those remarks, and I thank Councillor Perks for undertaking that. I do believe that that was an undertaking that was supposed to be already done, because we had the Chelsea Hotel here at our last term, and we had many deputants come to say, to oppose the conversion, as well as I believe at the Marriott. So those folks that work in this sector are very active in identifying the crises of getting rid of condoization of hotels and of the lack of jobs, and these are all very good jobs. So I'm a little disappointed that we're having to come back at this as a committee and ask economic development to proceed with that and come back with a strategy that maintains the hotel sector. There's a big hotel sector conference coming up in the city. Believe that the rooms are almost back up to full again. We're dealing with Airbnb. So it certainly is timely that this has been raised here, and I hope that when this comes back, and I'm not sure if Councillor Perks asked for a report to come back here, or it will come to other committees, but this is very timely and must be done. So again, I think that was an initiative that's been sitting on the shelf for a while, and I'm very glad to see that it's been taken off and will get some attention now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Fletcher.
Chair, I'd like to just.
Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Bravo, go ahead.
Yeah, I really want to thank Unifor for coming today and raising these issues. We know that hospitality jobs cannot be sent offshore. They can, however, through organizing and unionization in particular, be very good jobs with benefits, as you indicated. We need to look ahead beyond the pandemic to realize that for Toronto to be a destination to be able to hold international conferences, we need to have this hotel capacity. I want to thank Councillor Perks for initiating the conversations that Planning and Housing and Economic and Community Development Committee will have in relation to this particular need for a strategy around hospitality and hotel. And I also want to highlight the words of Councillor Fletcher and Councillor Sachs. Councillor Fletcher is right that this is something that's overdue and we really need to attend to with urgency. Sorry. And Councillor Sachs, yes, it has to be, we need a coordinated overall holistic strategy when it comes to short-term rentals in addition, and this is a really opportune time to do that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bravo, for your remarks. This item is, this hotel's in my ward, TE 8.5. So I am going to move staff's recommendation on this item. So all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. The next item is TE 8.14. Noise exemption permit refusal appeal, 45 Strachan Avenue, C 354688. There are speakers on this item. Pagan Mogani, Elliston Corporation, are you here? Yeah, you have 5 minutes to depute to the committee, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to clarify what the actual application was for. So currently we have a continuous pour application approved that we apply for every 6 months and that we are adhering to. What we are requesting is the use of our man and material hoist to coincide with that, to allow that in the event of an emergency, we have workers on slab. The building is going up 40 stories. If there is a medical or physical emergency on site, we've now essentially are telling them they cannot use the hoist to go down. So the only purpose of the hoist is to allow these workers to be able to go down safely, not to transport material in any way. It's just to coincide with the current permit that we have to allow these workers to be able to go home safely at the end of their work shift, which is prior to the current exemption that we have. And that's really all. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions.
Okay. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Seeing none. Council, Deputy Mayor Malik?
I'm sorry, I do have a question for staff.
Okay, go ahead.
I guess just given what we heard, were all the safety measures considered in this, in their review?
Staff to respond? You want to repeat that? I think.
Yeah, we just heard that apparently this is a matter of safety, but were all the safety measures considered in this review and the recommendations that were put forward to us?
Is anyone here to answer those questions? We could hold it down if needed. No? Okay. Should we hold it down then? Okay.
Who are we looking for?
Yeah, who are we looking for?
From staff and buildings. I'm not sure who's coming, so I'm going to follow up with it right now.
Okay, we'll hold this item down. Okay. Item T 8.15, 277 Margarita Street, application to remove a private tree. We do have 2 deputies here on this item.
Before you go, sorry, Mr. Chair, before you go to deputations, I'm going to be moving deferral of this item so that I can convene with the applicant. The applicant is aware of this, and so for the other deputant, I guess it's a choice to depute today or depute when this item comes back in November.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Bravo. Where am I at? Heather Lang, are you here? And George Bell?
I am.
So.
This is Heather Lang.
Heather Lang.
Hello,
Yes.
can you
So
hear me?
Councilor Bravo just mentioned that she's going to be deferring this item. So you have a choice to either depute today or when the item comes back.
No, I'd prefer to speak with Councillor Bava first, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. George Bell, are you here? Okay, okay. So Councilor Bravo, item 8.15, you want to defer? Okay, to the next meeting. All those in favor of deferral? All those opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Items TE 8.16, 104 Gilbert Avenue, application for fence exemption. Councilor Bravo.
Thank you. This will be my, I believe, third deferral of this item. I have to reconvene with both parties. The most complicated fence exemption. So I deferral until last chance deferral until November to see if we can come to an agreement or work through some of the various issues that involve a number of different agencies and court rulings.
Okay. All those all in favor of deferral? All in favor of deferral? All opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 8.17, 16 Austin Crescent, request for fence exemption. We do have a three deputants here. David Lockwood, are you here?
I am.
Okay, you want to come up to the mic? You have 5 minutes.
I believe the councilor is going to ask for a deferral, so if that's the case, I won't bother presenting today.
Councilor Madlow, you on defer?
That's correct.
Okay, let me just ask if anybody else wants to speak to this item. Real Provis, are you here? Did you want to speak today or when the time? Okay, Rafael Mascarello, you will also speak when the item comes up? Okay, all those in favor of deferral? All those, one second, I'm waiting for the item to come up on the screen. Good? Okay. For the next meeting?
Yes, it's the next meeting.
Item deferred to the next meeting in November. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. No one's raising their hands today. TE 8.18, 224 Chapman Crescent, request for a fence exemption. Any deputants in the room? Seeing none. Questions of staff? Okay, speak to speak.
It's 8.17.
8.18.
Oh, I have it wrong then, excuse me. I move the exemption.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Carried.
Do you want to display? Can we just display the exemptions and we make sure we have
Okay, yeah, let's display the exemption. Okay. All those in favor of the exemption? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 8.19, 6 Azarello Lane, request for fence exemption. We do have speakers on this item. Robert Richardson, are you here?
I should just advise, they were here last time, I believe, right?
Seeing none, no one's on. Yep, okay, you're online.
Hello?
Speak to the committee.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear you. Go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. So I'm here on behalf of an applicant for a fence exemption. It's a 4th floor balcony, about 12 by 14, currently divided by the wooden fence adjacent to 8 Azarello Lane.
I like this meeting.
There's an application for exemption to go from 6 feet to 8.2 feet. I can share the plans for it. Let me just put that up here. And there was some confusion in the last meeting that the current fence, which is temporary, is the fence, but that is not the one. Sorry.
Is he able to share the screen? Okay.
Yeah, I don't usually use Cisco, so it's asking you to.
I should just tell you, I'm going to grant this exemption, so you can finish your
Okay,
application.
well, I
or
don't
you
want to
can
waste
stop.
council's valuable time, so thank you very much.
Okay, great. Any questions of the deputant? Seeing none, thank you for coming in today.
Or coming online.
Thank you so much.
Coming online.
Coming in digitally.
Any questions of staff on this item? To speak?
I'm just going to grant this fence exemption,
Wonderful.
Mr. Chair.
All those in favor? All those opposed? That's carried. Okay, so we are almost to the end of our items. Did we get that person online for Councilor Deputy Mayor Malik?
It's okay,
You're
I've
good?
gotten some more answers.
Okay.
Yes, we do have somebody here.
Someone is. She's okay with it now. What item was that again? 14. Okay, Councilor Malik, you can speak to the item 8.14.
Thank you. I'm going to move option 1, refusal.
Okay, all in favor, option 1, refusal? Do you want to put it on the screen first? Okay, all those in favor? All opposed? Carried. Thank you. And I think that we have one more item?
And then we have to do the new business from Councilor.
That's the one item, right? Is that the last item?
So, we need to do with 51, the construction staging, Councilor Malik did that. I think you want to refer it back to staff.
Thank you.
B8.51. Moving a motion to refer it back to staff for consideration.
Okay, all those in favor of referral? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you. And the last item is TE 8.4.
We have to go back to item 1 because Councilor Sachs has her motion.
Okay, that's right, item. Back to item 1, TE 8.1, 64 Prince Arthur Avenue, zoning bylaw amendment application. Councilor Sachs?
Yes, I have a motion.
Is your mic on, Councilor Sachs?
Trying that again. Yes, thank you. I have a motion. The developer has committed a number of environmental measures that are above the city's minimum, and they are included in this motion to be detailed during the site plan process, but it's very important and helpful to have the preliminary commitment now so that the building is designed accordingly and so that expectations are clear.
Okay.
Oh, yes, so I'm moving my motion.
Okay, any questions of the mover? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item is amended. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Okay, now, Mr. Chair, you held two
Yes.
encroachment matters in my ward?
Yep, 21 and 22.
Yes.
There were speakers on those two items. That's why I
Yes.
held them. So, item 8.21, encroachment appeal, 40 London Street. And we have Jason Wong here. Is Jason Wong here?
It's not online.
Okay, I don't see, he's not online and he's not in the room. So we will, any speakers to the item?
Well, I'm going to defer it.
Okay,
The applicant has asked that we defer it.
okay. All those in favor of deferral? Do we have a motion? Okay, all those opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item TE 8.22, encroachment appeal, basement walkout appeal, 459 Oslington Avenue. We do have a speaker here. Norman Wong, are you here? It says video conference request.
No, not connected.
Mr. Wong is not connected, so, okay. Counselor, any questions on this item?
Oh,
I'm moving the staff reps.
Well, we'll have to wait. Okay. All those in favor of moving staff reps? All opposed? Carried. Thank you.
And then the next one is TE 8.5.
Okay. The last item is TE 8.4. Turning prohibition at 281, 289 Avenue Road. Councillor, any deputies here to speak to this item? Anyone to speak to this item?
He's not here.
Okay, all those in favor?
You're gonna move it on his behalf? then?
Someone has to actually move.
Yeah.
I'll move it on his behalf. All those in favor? All opposed? Carried. All righty, that was the last item.
Mr. Chair, if I just can make one more point. In the past, city staff who are attending Toronto and East York Community Council are usually available in person. And that way, if we have issues that we need to kind of sort out around something, it's much easier. So through you, and perhaps through you to the clerk, I'd like to understand what the requirements are now of city staff being in person for these agenda items that we have, please.
I don't want to speak on behalf of the clerk. You know what, I will.
I'm just going to ask you to pursue that, because I think it's quite important that we have that ability to fix problems, which we don't have, and I don't understand why at committee staff aren't here in person. So that's my quest, to have staff here in person.
Okay.
You don't have to, just letting you know.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. It's just,
The clerk has
we
heard
passed
that
the
too,
motion.
and we'll take that up wherever she needs to take that up as well.
We did pass the motion, though, earlier in the term, in that these are hybrid meetings. So my understanding is both councilors and staff can come in, can use.
Yes, and I'm questioning that now, and I'm asking the city staff, whoever it is, if it's the city manager, deputy city managers, whoever, that when we are here, that we have that ability and that staff respect this committee and they're here in person.
Okay.
Just like the clerks have to be.
Do you have the bills?
Before we do bills, staff have asked me to open 5.3 again and take out these two items. There's nothing in there.
Come on.
Yeah, we would have to consider, I have to.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, so we'll just let me get the bills for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to display it? Yeah. Okay. Lawrence is going to display the
No.
bills for you. Do you want to read it first?
Right, so I can.
How small is that?
Here. Is that
If you put, I could probably redo that. No. Here we go.
I'm not sure.
That bills 955 to 964 and 967 to 1014, prepared for the October 18, 2023 meeting 8 of the Toronto and East York Community Council, be declared as bylaws and passed subjects to Section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Thank you. Let's do another one.
Yes.
That confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings of the Toronto and East York Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 8 on October 18, 2023 be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. And that's it. Okay, and we're now adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Much appreciated. See you next month.